The grandmother of an autistic student who was strangled has spoken about how police failed her grandson. Margaret Palmer claims the police did not take 21-year-old Adrian seriously because of his condition. Her concerns are echoed in a survey released exclusively to Channel 4 News. The poll of almost 800 people with autism and their carers found more than half of those who had reported crimes rated their treatment by police as poor. Asha Tanner has been hearing their experiences.
He was very easily led. As he took everything literally, if somebody said something to him, asked him to do something, he would do it and he wouldn't realise the consequences. So he was really easy to manipulate.
Margaret Palmer raised her grandson Adrian. He had Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism. In May 2006, the 21-year-old was strangled and his body was dumped in an alleyway. She says he was targeted because his disability made him vulnerable. She says because of his autism, police failed to help him when they had the chance.
I feel that he was treated differently to other people, that they were scared to believe what he was saying. You know, they didn't want to believe what he was saying, so he had no support.
It was her husband who first learnt of his death.
So he went round to where it happened, and the police told him to keep away. He said, well, my grandson's missing. And then they come and told him. I brought him home. Oh, God.
4 months before he was killed, Adrian contacted West Mercia police. He made an allegation he'd been raped, but the Crown Prosecution Service decided to take no further action, saying he was not a credible witness due to his mental health. Right up until his death, Adrian and his family reported he was receiving threatening messages from the alleged rapist. But again, police failed to look into this properly. No one was ever convicted of the alleged rape.
When the police phoned me up, I said, oh God, what about Adrian's safety? That was our priority. And they said, well, if anything happens, we'll know who to look for. He got on really well with everyone.
An investigation by the police watchdog, the IPCC, found 2 officers guilty of misconduct and failing to ensure a thorough criminal inquiry was undertaken. It said that more could have been done to protect Adrian and emphasised his vulnerability. Over 600,000 people in the UK have autism. It affects the way a person communicates and relates to people around them. While an extreme case, Adrian Palmer now joins a list of high-profile cases of disabled people failed by the police. Fiona Pilkington and her daughter Francesca Hardwick, as well as David Askew. But many people with autism say abuse and bullying in society is commonplace, and police are not doing enough. The UK-wide survey carried out by the National Autistic Society found that 70% of respondents have been victims of harassment and bullying. 65% have been victims of bullying or abuse more than 10 times, and 47% have been victims of physical assault. The survey also asked people about their experiences with the police. When reporting a crime, 62% said police did not take into account their disability. 54% said the police did not record it as a hate crime, and 52% rated their treatment by police as either poor or very poor.
I first became interested in painting when I watched the Oasis video, The Master Plan, which was mainly inspired by artworks of L.S. Lowry, and I'm a big admirer of his works. I think there's something interesting about buildings. I don't know why I'm interested in them, I just like them. That's the husband, but the wife is disabled. So she has a chair, and this is the guy coming out.
David Robinson is autistic. He's among the 778 people who took part in the national survey. Painting is his passion. Over several months, he was subjected to relentless bullying and harassment on the bus to his weekly art class. The gang of teenagers would film him and take photos of him on their mobile phones.
I can't understand why someone would. I mean, that's something. That's something a bit strange. But I don't pretend to understand it, and frankly I don't want to understand it. I'll just not look and now pretend to be doing something else, and that's just something you learn through experience.
David, if you could give a message to those people who were intimidating you, what would you say?
That it's not fair, it's not nice in any reasonable society, and imagine if that was you. What I would say to those people: imagine if that was you. Imagine if that was you being the victim and you wouldn't like it one bit.
Joe Scarth recently retired. He was at Merseyside Police for 30 years. His son Josh is autistic. He set up a disability hate crime unit at the force to raise awareness about the condition in his area.
Well, nationally, it appears to be patchy. Some areas are very good, some areas don't appear to be very good. And one of my concerns has always been that if my son or people like my son are struggling in the community and they approach a police officer or a member of the police staff and ask them for help, that member of the police family won't have any knowledge about autism.
Local man Ben Murphy was convicted of Adrian's manslaughter but only served a third of his sentence. The National Autistic Society told Channel 4 News there needs to be mandatory training for all people who deal with vulnerable individuals.
We were obviously shocked and appalled by the results of the survey, shocked and appalled that very vulnerable people are being treated in this way throughout the country. It really highlighted that in many areas there's a lack of understanding and support for people with autism as they make their way through the system.
It's 7 years this month that Adrian was killed. Margaret Palmer is now suing West Mercia Police. Channel 4 News contacted the force and was told,
"Due to pending civil legal action, we cannot comment on the specific details of this case. We work effectively with other agencies to make sure the right amount of support is given to those with a disability."
I think they still have a lot more to learn. They need to learn to understand the condition. And it's not only the police, it's social services, the courts, the CPS. Everyone needs to wake up and do something.
That report by Asha Tanner. Well, we did ask to speak to the Association of Chief Police Officers. No one was available, but they gave us this statement. The police service has worked hard to improve its handling of disability hate crime, speaking to disabled people to understand the types of harassment they face and the barriers that prevent them reporting it.